And here we are ready to create another sheet. This is going to be the wheel for our Onshape toy train little CAD project. We're going to insert the wheel. I'm getting a preview right now. This is what Onshape's calling the front. So I don't want to use that though as my front view. I see the tab sticking out to the right. I'd like to rotate that right into my view. So that would be the right side of this if that's the front. So I'm going to choose right. Remember, you can always go back to your Part Studio and look at the view you want and then look up the view cube and see what that name is. So, if I go back to Part Studio and just kind of get the view you're wanting, if you want that, then glance up here and see, oh, that's the right view. Note that if you ever do that and you see that the word right is twisted, you have a heads up that after bringing on the right face, you're going to have to rotate it. And this could be a good time to even show that. Let's say that tab wasn't where I wanted. Okay. After placing it, but before projecting any other views, you have to rotate it right now. I'm waiting here on this updating. Onshape goes right to projecting, and this is tempting to go ahead and project and start creating other views. But should you have wanted to rotate this, you need to have it be the only view. Double click on it to bring up the view property window, and then you could change the rotation angle. So it keeps this face in your view facing you, but you can spin it around like a clock. Okay, so it was in the orientation I wanted, so I'm going to put that back to 0. But if you project this view, okay, and then later decide, oh, I wanted to twist this, when you come back in here, that rotation angle has been grayed out. It's kind of locked and doesn't let you rotate it anymore. So be very aware of that. The example I'm trying to recreate had the isometric scaled up, so I'm going to go ahead and scale that up to 2:1. You don't have to do that, but I'm following along an example trying to recreate something where they had made that nice and big. So let's see. Make it shaded. Okay. So the other view that we're going to use to dimension here, not only that view, is a section view. So we're going to use a horizontal cut line that goes right through the center. It'll cut right through that tab, and that'll create this view here where we are going to dimension all of the features. So as I turn on the section tool, I see that my cut plane line is vertical, so we're going to switch that to horizontal. I'm going to click right at the center, move my mouse up, and I will get my section view. Remember, I can move the text around, so I can get out of my way. All right, let's turn on the regular dimension tool. And in this view right here, I have where I can see kind of the cutouts that define what you might call spokes. I have dimensioned both the inner and the outer radius. Now, if you're getting numbers that you know are rounded values right there, you can double click and you can choose the precision to be different, but you know what? This is not that. I'm going to hit pause and we're going to go fix those numbers. Okay, those were not correct because they just weren't ever dimensioned in the Part Studio. When you make a change in the Part Studio and you come back here, these numbers do not auto-update. The drawing does not auto-update, but this will highlight yellow, letting you know that you have made changes. You will have to click on that and let it refresh to get those correct. Okay, so we needed, if you think of dimensioning this shape, okay, we would need to know the radius of the inner and outer. They are concentric to that point. We also need to know, let's see, the angle measure between them and within that. So I'm using just two that are side by side, kind of space, one's that the cutout and one's the spacing to show those are all 30 degrees. If we want to make it obvious that these radiuses are concentric to the hole in the middle, we could use our line tool to draw some lines to make sure that's obvious. The other thing that's in this view that we wanted to mention are the diameters of these tabs. The most inner circle right here is a hole, so we will use the hole callout tool. Let's go ahead and do that right now. That's the smallest one. Okay, and this is, I'm going to go ahead and change that 063 to show 4 decimal places because it's really 0625. So I have to double click. This one's different with a whole call out. You have to click this little override precision. And then there's two different numbers. You have to choose the one you want to change. And then this bottom left is the precision level. So I'm going to override the drawing of 3 and we're going to show 4. Okay, I'll go back to the regular dimension tool to highlight the diameters of these other 2 circles. All right, now all of these circular features, I know how big they are. I can see with the cut line that they're horizontally placed from the center, but I'd like to know how far from the center. So I'm going to dimension the distance to locate that over. So now that's located. And I should have pretty much all the dimensions I need there. All right, in this top view, I'm going to go ahead and turn on my center mark tool and get a center mark for the end, that semicircle at the end. I'm also going to turn on the edge-to-edge centerline tool and make a reference line right down the middle of the axle hole space. Okay, we'll turn on our regular dimension tool now and get some dimensions from the center line to here. Okay, so this, we're going to hit pause and we're going to go fix these things again. Okay, I'm back. I've made some updates just in the Part Studio because that was a demo file where I had shown how to make the wheel pretty quickly without dimensioning everything precisely, but now we are back. I don't really want to get the tangent edge where that fillet starts. Really, what I really want is yet another thing that's not right. These fillets should meet at a precise point. Okay, so the dimension I really want, now that I fixed that, is think of that this is like more of a rectangular cutout, okay, where we just filleted corners, kind of the inner corner and the outer corner. And this point right here where the fillets meet is actually kind of defines where that rectangular feature started and then over here where it stopped. So we're going to get these dimensions from here to here. So I'm using like a baseline dimensioning technique where everything's coming off that center line and then to the radius here. All right, taking a step back, I'm going to control my spacing. I don't want things to be not reader friendly, and that 0.14 I think is just too small to live in between there. So I'm going to bring this to the outside one way or the other. Okay. I need to dimension the fillets. So I'm going to grab that. This is where I could change this to show 4 decimal places. And I can add behind it, I'll do space and a TYP typical. I'll add the radius to the end of the wheel. I need the dimension, kind of the depth here of that recessed area. But just for managing my extension line gap, I'm going to come all the way from here to there to bring this to the outside. That 0.125 kind of fits. Again, you could choose to pull it out. So I think the only other thing in this view that I want to dimension now is to show these tab distances. I know on the example that I'm copying, they've got this distance right here, but you could have this form coming off that recessed as well. So if you wanted that, it might be kind of showing from here to here. That's 0.375. That gets kind of, tells us how far out to bring this. Then you might want to dimension from here to here. Okay, these aren't going to line up so well, so you can bring that in closer. And the diameters of those holes and of those tabs, as well as the size of that hole, that's already all been taken care of down here. So really, I think you only need 2 distances out there that would cover it. So there you go. I think that's all the dimensions you need for the wheel.